bit of a taste, a little bit of an eclectic taste. It's not truly representative of what I have. It's just a little of some of the things I have on my shelf. That's part of my permanent library. And just an idea to, you know, give some loved ones. Currently, there's a series of this already on. I think it's Showtime that has it. Let's see if I can lift this. Okay. Do you know what this series is from? This is his Dark Materials series by Philip Pullman. I got hooked on this series. Wow. I don't know how it got on my radar, but for some reason, I guess I was working in the bookstore and I happened to come across it, and I started to read, you know, the premise, and then I started reading the first book, and essentially that was it. So yeah, so I think this is the first book. Golden Compass, followed by The Subtle Knife, which is the sequel to The Golden Compass, followed by The Amber Spyglass by Philip Pullman. They just came out with a series. I believe it's Showtime, I think, and it stars a couple of famous people, obviously. I think Lin-Manuel Miranda's in it too. So yeah, I've yet to catch up with the series. I started watching the first couple of episodes. For some reason with this series, with his Dark Materials, there was a movie that came out a few years ago, and it had Nicole Kidman in it. And I was just like, wow, this is a book that it's going to be, I mean, I could tell it, I knew there was going to be like CGI stuff and things like that with the polar bear and all, but just the whole fairy tale telling aspect of it, I was like, could they reproduce that and have it sing as well as Mr. Pullman's writing? And to be honest, it's hit or miss. But then again, you know, I'm hoping that the series, which I think is on season 2 now, will deliver what the movie couldn't for a lot of the fans. But if you just want something to read, I would highly recommend them reading the series, and they'll understand what I mean about how the transition to film and television has been. Okay, so that's my first recommendation. It's a little of a fantasy sequence, but hey. So what else do I have here? Moving on in the humor area, the Darwin Awards. Remember these? Oh my gosh. If you ever want to read about the levels of stupidity that is humanity, or Murphy's Law, if you know about that, then you would totally get that. It's a laugh out loud thing, and they have several of these. I think I have 3 versions at least, maybe 4. This is the second in the series. But the first and second one have the most of it. By the time you get to third, it kind of tapers off. But okay. The next that I have here is, remember the worst case scenario series? Love these. Again, this is for the ones that, you know, you just want to put a smile on their face. Yeah. The first one, sorry about that. I got one that they had one on dating and sex, which was hilarious. The second one that I also got is like how to survive, like travel, which I haven't done in a heartbeat, but I will be rereading for the new year. And then they have, I think that's very theme related. I know you can see that. Yes. The worst case scenario, holiday, how to survive the holidays. Yeah, I got to reread that. Since I'm going to be doing a very small, intimate family dinner in a few days, plus juggling like all these final things I have to do for schoolwork. So the next 10 days are going to be right up there. So moving on from that, I said, what else could I show? Oh, if you're looking at psychology, this is a classic. Women Who Run with the Wolves. I read this once and it just blew my mind. Then every couple of years I take it out to reread it. And I always find something, a deeper level of understanding. The author's name is Clarissa Pinkola Estés. And that's a Ph.D. right there, baby. Very interesting. It's the myths and stories of the wild woman archetype. I would say that this is not a light reading, but it's a really great reading. So if you're going to be home stuck and there's a snowstorm and you want to read more about, I don't know, I guess the way for women and how their mind works and how we are perceived and how we should be in a natural state, then I say definitely check that out. And it goes without saying that I love to cook, so it goes without saying that I love to cook, so I'm going to show you one of the first books I remember ever receiving. And this book has been with me through several moves, so I'm going to show you this book. The 365 Easy One Dish Meals. Apparently this series is so popular I came out with a second one, which I did get, but I really don't look at too much, but I want to. But these are one dish meals. And for people who live alone or there's only two of you, this is awesome. Less things to clean, right? One pot, one dish. What about it? Yay. So I think this is a wonderful book to give to someone who just moves out to their own apartment and may need some ideas to cook or entertain, and they don't want to do anything too fancy. But you could tell this book has been through thick and thin with me. It even got too close to the flames there. Who's the author of this book? Natalie Haughton. Skillet, wok, casserole, slow cooker, salad bowl, pressure cooker, stew pot. So this might come in handy to give us a Christmas gift for this year. Another book that's considered like the standard to give, like this is considered like what the wedding gift that's given to the bride that gets married in Puerto Rico. I don't know, some of you may be familiar with this, some of you may not. The Puerto Rican Cookery Guide. This book is a classic and has been updated several times. This is on the level of The Joy of Cooking. This book is a standard, one of these standards. For those of us who are Nuyorican, I found the book, but I don't think this is in print because this was done by a very small publishing company locally here in New York, I believe, and it was done with a purpose to, I think, to raise money for a public service. This is called La Cocina de la Familia. This is recipes from Alphabet City. So those from New York City, specifically Manhattan, know what Alphabet City is. So these are the recipes. A lot of them that are familiar to me. This is the food I grew up with. This is considered Nuyorican cooking. So if you always wondered what Nuyorican cooking versus Puerto Rican cooking was, this is the definition. They don't sell this anymore. I don't know where else to find it. You probably could find copies online that are used, but I try to keep this book in relatively good condition, but you see all my papers sticking out, my notes. I treasure this book. But yeah, it was distributed by a City and Company. In case anybody was wondering, it was originally $15 at the time, but this was a book that was locally that they asked for people throughout New York City and New York State to give their recipes, and then they created a little book with this, and I think this was to raise money for a project for Alphabet City. So I would highly recommend this book. And finally, last but certainly not least, like I said, I'm only giving you a small version of what's in my bookshelf. If you're, Barnes & Nobles is one of my favorite, well, bookstores in general tend to be my favorite place to dwell besides churches. And I just like the whole atmosphere of bookstores. I do. They're quiet, they're restful, and you're surrounded by books, and it just feels very comforting and also very wow. Like you're surrounded by all these books and there's all these stories that are sitting within those binders that are just waiting to be read and told. And it's just amazing. But for me, as far as gift giving for books, Barnes and Noble has a series, and they do it every so often, but I think they picked it up again, where they do like special bound versions of the classics. And this I got a few years ago, but you can get them for cheap, for like $5, because you always see them in the sales bin, which I'm like, why? They shouldn't be. But this, look how gorgeous that is. It's just, I wish I could collect a lot of books that look like this, so I could have like that traditional looking library that you always see in movies and stuff like that, or in even private collections of, you know, people who are very affluent. This is the collected poems of Emily Dickinson. She's one of my favorite poets, so I had to have her book. There was an edition, not like this, but another separate edition that was in my high school, and I took it out so many times that I owed so much money on, because I just kept, every time I would send it in, I would wait a day and then pull it back out and then keep it, and then, you know, not want to give it back because I just loved it so much. I just love reading it. And so I told myself when I got older I was going to get myself a book, and I got it in this form, and I love it. See, and I think you'll see the label back there where it says Barnes & Noble books. Not to be outdone, excuse me, but I think every home needs this. Another one right here, and this is the complete works of William Shakespeare. I'm trying to show it there. This is the complete works of William Shakespeare. Why do I have this? I think I got it for $5, number one. Number two, I love the whole like bound series that Barnes & Nobles does with the classics in some of their books. And when I see things like this, if I have that $5 in my pocket, I try to get. So Shakespeare and Dickinson, those are the two that I have bound from the Barnes & Noble series, and I'm hoping to expand on that in the future as time goes on, if I'm given the opportunity and if I find some. But I know they have done like others with different like covers. They're not all the traditional mahogany with the gold. Now they have them in different colors like blue and red. I'm sort of up in the air about that, but they look cute. The covers look really cute. It just depends on the topic of what I want, but I definitely wanted Shakespeare and I wanted Dickinson, so those are the two that I got. I think the next one I would like is probably Edgar Allan Poe. Not sure, but that's my take on it. And well, that's my little snippet, my little taste, and I didn't even show you my biographies. Oh, just a little taste of what's on my shelf and what I tend to, what I've enjoyed and loved and referred to more than once, twice, 3 times. So if you were looking for any ideas on what to get someone that is a book reader, has a sense of humor, a wicked sense of humor, or someone who likes to cook, or someone who's moving out to their first place, or somebody who just wants to read like a deep book on women's psyche and psychology, then I think I gave you an eclectic, along with the fantasy whim. I gave you pretty much an eclectic choice there, mix to choose from. I don't know, maybe I'll do another one of these again. My name is Dora Michelle, and this is Makeup or Breakup Blog, and I just decided to take Vlogmas Day 6 into a totally different direction by doing something a little different. So I hope I gave you some ideas for your own Vlogmas. I don't know. And I hope to see you all real soon. Take care. Bye.